This is a real interesting sale. The first bid out there is $63,700 on a property with an assessed value of $84,000 and a final judgment of $159,000. Again, what that indicates is there is a very active market out there. That frankly, these auctions, there are people willing to pay far more than they're worth. I think there's a lot of foreign folks and people who just don't understand the marketplace, because there's no way that that makes any sense at all to pay bid $63,000 on a property that's assessed at $84,000, regardless of what the property looks like. I mean, even if it's in a broom swept condition, it just makes no sense at all to make a bid for that high. What you typically find at a foreclosure auction is the thing's trashed when you get there, and so to want to pay that much just doesn't make any sense at all. This is a Wells Fargo 2009 case. There you go. It's got the mark of the beast right there, the rocket docket judgment. I think there was a lot that was overlooked during that period. This mortgage doesn't look like it was paid since 2009. Has a principal balance of $127 and a final judgment there, $159. Looking back over here at this, we got somebody that would be willing to pay $64,000, which frankly, if the bank would net that, I don't see how they would ever get more than that with an assessed value right there of $84,000. But this is the dynamic that we're seeing at these auctions. This is a Wells Fargo mortgage. We got a decent bid up on there, and the real question is why they're not letting third-party purchasers pay that money. And we're up to $66,000 on this thing. Again, every one of these auctions so far has gone back to the plaintiff, despite the fact that what the bidding reveals is that there are third-party bidders who are, frankly, out there willing to pay stupid money on these things. I call it stupid money because there's no way that those bids make any financial sense. They're folks that just don't know what they're doing relative to what the value of these properties are. But in every case, it doesn't matter who's out there bidding. The bank's doing whatever they have to do to take title back to this. Can only speculate that part of the reason is insurance on the back end, federally insured or whatever, that's forcing them or encouraging them to take these properties back. But what is interesting and compelling is the high bids that are at the front end. The initial bids out the door show that people are willing to pay real money for these things. And we're up to $66,200. Here is $66,400. So you see, again, relative to the value of this property, and let's just take a look and see precisely what it is. As the thing gets bid up there, we can go over and see. Is this a mobile home or something? Zillow is giving it an estimated value of $99,000. That tends to be very high in this marketplace. And that the assessed value is a much closer approximation of what it's actually worth. When you go to one of these things, it's usually trashed if it's not already vacant and abandoned. And down to 30 seconds here. Let's see what happens. In addition to the title problems that exist with these properties because there weren't proper title searches done at the front end, which list all the judgment creditors. There are other super liens that can attach and often do on these properties. IRS tax liens, municipal liens, and other things. And as you examine the title on some of these things, you can see a lot of that. So, again, if you're not getting these things for a significant discount, and especially if you haven't done extensive title work, there's just not any value here at all, and you're seeing a lot of that on these high bids from third parties. But we're recognizing, again, in this situation where they're going back to the plaintiff, you see that this is just a small block home, 1,100 square feet, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and in a real congested area there, just off a highway. Got a couple seconds left, and let's see if this one goes back to the plaintiff. Every one of them so far has gone back, and this experience, incidentally, is consistent across all the counties that I'm monitoring. These judgments are uniform final judgments. So winding down, another bid. Frustrating again, these bids that kind of go in little bit of increments here instead of higher amounts, but that's the way the auctions work. Looking again at this judgment to see what we can find out about it, in addition to the fact that we got $160,000 amount on that first mortgage right there. That's the final judgment on a property that's assessed at $84,000. We should note that there is a second mortgage on here for Tampa Bay Credit Union. So, you know, that just shows how wild and out of control this credit market got, that we've got a property assessed at $84,000 with a first mortgage on there at $159,000. Whatever that second mortgage was, it's going to get wiped out in this auction one way or the other. We're down to 10 seconds on here, and let's see what this thing goes out for, and whether we got a third-party purchaser yet. Of all these auctions so far, there haven't been any third-party purchasers. Yeah, that one went back to the plaintiff as well. So again, this consistent experience of all these properties going back to the plaintiffs serves as a real eye-opener. Look at that. Opening bid, $80,000 on a property with an assessed value of $102,000. That's just extraordinary that you've got somebody straight out of the box that's willing to pay $80,000 for property that's probably worth a little bit less than that, frankly. And yet the bank will not net that out. They would net that money within 48 hours of closing, but they're not doing it. Let's see who this one is. I already see that there are a number of judgments on the back end. That's a U.S. bank. Is that one going to go to plaintiff? Yeah, we got another bid for $80,000. So here you have I didn't see that one, but it looked like it went to plaintiff. That was a U.S. bank one as well. We can see a lot of creditors on the back end. The stamp of the beast. Most of these things with that stamp of the beast on there indicates that they were undefended. Most of these default properties, maybe the homeowner moved out, but this one hadn't been paid since 2009. And that final judgment amount there of $151,000. Again, the question with all of this is, we're devoting all these time and resources to hold these foreclosure auctions, and the question is why we're bothering to do this if the plaintiffs are not allowing third-party purchasers to come on and liquidate these properties to an amount that satisfies. So again, we see initially right out of the box there a judgment, a bid there of $32,000, which roughly approximates what the property's worth, going up to, well, we got a new one here. That one goes back to plaintiff. They happen so quickly, but they do happen quickly when they're flipping back to the plaintiff. Now this one's interesting because it's a looks like it's some kind of lower value apartment. It's got an apartment number on there. Again, it's assessed at $49,000, final judgment at $80,000. There's just no reason why, if someone's willing to pay for this property, the bank is not liquidating it and getting that money unless there's something going on at the back end. Now, this one looks to be a smaller bank, Midwest Bank, and they see again it's a condominium association. You got lots of judgments in the back there. The stamp of the beast. Initial mortgage on here was $64,000. That was the principal, and this thing hadn't been paid since 2009. Gives us a final judgment amount of $80,000 on a property that's worth at best $50,000, and you got somebody here willing to pay $17,000 for it. If one would go, if one of these auctions would work, this would be one I would expect would, because I would not expect that a mid-first bank would have the kind of dark incentives in the back end to justify taking a property back. So I would think they would want to pocket whatever they could get on a property and sort of liquidate their losses. And it goes up to $20,000. So, you know, whether this is the plaintiff that's bidding and bringing up that number to $20,000, or whether it's part of the active third-party bidders who are out there, remains to be seen. Down to a minute. But again, what we're seeing there is this is in a condominium association. There are judgments on there. It's that number right there that indicates it was a rocket docket. I think every one of them so far has been on a rocket docket. So we'll just kind of let that auction wind down and see what happens up to 20,000. Next one coming up is a first one we've seen yet that has a maximum bid that's not totally out of the world. It looks like they've actually made some determination about what the thing is worth. This one cranking down here. And again, that one goes to the plaintiff. So you've seen every single auction so far has gone back to the plaintiff. And just one last one here. This one is, again, it's either a mobile home or a apartment of some sort. Nobody's bid at that one. Again, that's probably some kind of mobile home or something. Maybe he's got some assessments, title problems, something else. But that's one of the few ones that we've seen that there's been no third-party bidders. Every single one, well, just about every one of them so far has had an active third-party bidding situation. All right, so here we go, another one. The bidding starts out at $100 from the bank there. Got a final judgment amount of $284,000. Property assessed at $119,000, and let's see what the plaintiff's taking this one back. And that one goes back to the plaintiff for $100.